Hi everyone, I'm Lisa and I'm from the Pretty Sweaty Stuff. So today's class is going to be about just a nice gentle sun salutation. So you can use it as a warm-up before a workout, standalone class, or you can use it as a cool down. And just show you different varieties of the sun salutations. So whenever you're ready, we'll start in a nice comfortable seated position. If you feel that it's quite uncomfortable seated with crossed legs, obviously take a different position. If there's a bit of niggling in the hips or the knees, you can try sitting on the edge of a block, a cushion, a bolster or folded blanket to help lift the pelvis up. Okay. So whenever you're ready, we'll close down the eyes. And just take a few moments here to settle into the breath and settle into your mind. And just take this moment to find a bit of stillness. Find a bit of awareness. And taking this time to find this moment. So not thinking about the sun salutations, right? So you know where this class is going. Try not to skip ahead. Try not to jump into the next posture when you haven't even finished the previous one. Like right now, can you stay focused on this mat? Taking big inhales through the nose. Easy exhale through the nose. 2 more together. Take a big breath in. And a big breath out. 1 last time. Take a big inhale. Long exhale. So see if you can continue with this newfound breath throughout the practice. Taking deep inhales through the nose and easy exhales through the nose. And as you flow throughout this class, notice if the breath starts to change. And notice if the face becomes tense. So that includes any scrunching, any flaring of the nostrils, any clenching in the jaw. So see if you can really relax everything and just really focus on the breath. Whenever you're ready, gently blink the eyes open. We'll come to our hands and knees tabletop position. So if you're quite new to the practice or got sore wrists, it's always nice to warm up into the wrists regardless. So spread into the fingertips and just go round and round. So going from one way and then the other. Making sure that index knuckle is super grounded as you go around one direction, and then we'll go around the other way. Gripping the mat with the fingertips, just really warming up into the wrists. And then stop. We'll turn the fingertips towards you, inner wrist outwards, and then just rock forwards and backwards. So if you're tight in the forearms, this is going to be quite intense for you. So just be mindful of how you're rocking forwards and backwards. And then the great thing about videos is that you can press pause and then just go longer and explore this if you need to. And then turn the fingertips towards each other, back of the hands towards the ground, and then just rock side to side. You can always flicker the fingers as well. And then Just return the fingertips forwards. So as a rule of thumb, you want your index fingers pointing forward. So if you're a little bit tighter today, you can splay them out a little bit, and then maybe a little bit wider than shoulder width distance apart. We're going to set up for your modified plank pose, and knees are slightly behind the hips. Scoop the belly and the ribs in. Shoulders stacks on top of the wrists. Up to you if you want to tuck the toes under or untucked. Nice long neck. Squeezing the forearms together. And then my hips and my chest are roughly in the same line. So I'm not dumping into my lower back. Okay? I'm really recruiting the muscles in the core and in the arms, the pecs, the chest. You're going to begin to shift forward. So shift forward. So the shoulders are past the wrists. Squeeze the elbows in towards the ribs. Draw the belly in and then lower the chest and the hips at the same time all the way to the ground. Just move the mic so you can hear me better. Point 10 toes. Okay, so take a pause here. Hands are by the 3 last ribs. Okay. Squeezing the elbows in behind you. My neck is nice and long, and I'm not like scrunching and looking up. There's no need to do that. Engage into the quads, and then think about pressing into the little toenails. Peeling the chest up, find your low back, bend your cobra. Activate into the glutes and really find your back muscles here. It's a nice way to warm up into the spine. Scoop the belly in, begin to tuck the toes under, bring the seat to the heels. And then we'll quickly come into a child's pose. So hands are still out in front of you, shoulder width distance apart. And then lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. So the reality is, if you don't have the strength to push yourself up from the ground into your downward dog, come into a child's pose, just a quick one, and then you can lift it back into your downward facing dog. Okay. So what you're trying to do, as always, is use the muscles that you have, okay? So create good habits. Don't create bad habits. The most common thing for being to push yourself from the low back bend into your downward dog is that a lot of people tend to dump into the lower back, and that is not what we're doing. Okay. So once you're in your downward dog, just wiggle around, however feels good for you. Really use this downward dog as your own. Move around, maybe hear some clicks. So one of the things about yoga, the great things about yoga is just finding honesty, right? Can you be honest to yourself, to your body? If you need to put the knees down, put the knees down. If you need to use props, use the props. Doesn't make you a bad yogi, makes you a better one. And then gradually find some stillness here. Okay. So maybe this is your first thing of the day, and maybe you've woken up with 2 tight hamstrings today. Wherever you are, if you've got tight hamstrings or not, we're going to keep the knees bent for this first downward dog together. So notice how long the spine is. Squeeze the forearms together, and then have the head and the neck nice and long, so ears roughly by the biceps. We're not looking to straighten into the legs and find this roundness. It's not about that. Find that nice slope along the spine before you find the legs. Pressing into the fingertips, find a little bit more length along the side body. Then inhale, look at the front of you, slowly walk to the top of the mat, folding forwards. Maybe grab onto opposite elbows and just sway for a brief moment. Releasing the hands on top of the shins. Inhale, halfway lift, pull the chest through the arms. And as you exhale, fold forwards. Press down the feet big and it lifts you all the way up. Reach the arms up. And as you exhale, hands together, heart center. So we'll move through that baby sun A just a little bit quicker. And we'll do it from standing this time. Up to you if you want big toes together or feet hip width distance apart. Traditionally, it is big toes together, little gap in the heel. But whatever feels good for you. Inhale, float the arms up, reach nice and tall. And as you exhale, fold forwards. Hands on top of the shins, inhale, halfway lift, pull the chest through. And as you exhale, hands find the ground, step it back, lower the knees, modified plank pose, knees behind the hips. Begin to shift forward, squeeze the elbows in, lower yourself all the way to the ground. Point 10 toes, inhale, peel the chest up, baby back bend. And as you exhale, tuck the toes under, quick child's pose, and then pop it up, downward facing dog. Well, again, keep the knees bent. Inhale, look at the front of you, slowly walk to the top of the mat, folding forward. Inhale, halfway lift. And as you exhale, fold forwards. Press down the feet big, and I lift you all the way, reach the arms up. And as you exhale, hands together, press the palms together. Inhale, reach the arms up. And as you exhale, fold forwards. So notice I'm not just letting the arms hang heavy. I'm really finding my legs here. So inhale, halfway lift, hands on top of the shins or to the ground. And as you exhale, step back, plank pose. Feel free to lower the knees to the mat, or you can keep them lifted. But in this variation, I'll keep the knees to the ground. You're going to begin to shift forward, squeeze the elbows in. This time round, lower halfway down. Okay. So notice my bottom's not sticking up and I'm not dumping into my lower back. Yeah, finding that nice long spine, shoulder blades down. And then lower yourself all the way to the ground. Point 10 toes. Inhale, peel the chest up, find your low back bend. And as you exhale, quick seat to the heels. And then pop it up, downward facing dog. Yeah. So we slowly introduce that half press up, that chaturanga. If your hamstrings are starting to warm up, then obviously you're more than welcome to gradually straighten into the legs here. But if you're beginning to round into the spine, into the lower back, like this, bend your knees. Really bend your knees. Inhale, look at the front of you, slowly walk to the top of the mat, folding forwards. Inhale, halfway lift. And as you exhale, fold forwards. Press down the feet big, and it lifts you all the way up, reach the arms up. And as you exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift. And as you exhale, step back, plank pose. So plank pose, again, feel free to lower the knees to the mat. I quite like a really engaged plank pose here. Okay, so neck is nice and long. I'm firing up into the quads, and my glutes are engaged. I'm really stacking the heels on top of the toes to help engage into the quads. Squeezing the forearms together, engage into the pecs. And again, if it doesn't feel good, just lower the knees to the mat. You should still feel this, yeah? Shift the gaze out in front of you. Begin to shift forward, shift past the tippy toes. Okay. This is going to be super hard, I'm not going to lie. So again, if you want to lower the knees, lower the knees. Okay. Do not lose integrity of the posture. Begin to squeeze the elbows in, lower halfway down. Untuck the toes. Inhale, find your high back bend. If you feel a crunching in the lower back, just come back into that cobra, yeah? In your upward facing dog, take a pause here. The tops of the feet and the hands are the only thing that is on the ground. My thighs are lifted, my legs are super engaged. I'm charging up into the quads. I'm sending the chest between the arms, right? And the glutes are slightly activated to protect the lower back. Draw the belly in, use your lower core as you tuck the toes under. Again, feel free to bring the seat to the heels and then pop it back into your downward dog. Otherwise, we're going to use the core to lift it back, downward dog. And find your breath here. Shift the gaze out in front of you, slowly walk to the top of the mat, folding forwards. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forwards. Press down the feet big and it lifts you all the way up. Reach the arms up. This time as you exhale, hands together, heart center. So we'll move through that quicker, and it's really important to listen to how you feel today, how the body feels, okay? So if you feel like the breath is already rushed, keep the knees to the ground, right? Work your way up into it. Take every day different, take every practice different. Calm the breath, calm the mind. Take a big inhale, float the arms up. And as you exhale, fold forwards. Hands on top of the shins or to the ground, inhale, halfway lift. And as you exhale, step back, plank pose. Take your plank pose. Okay. Begin to shift forward, squeeze the elbows in, lower halfway down. Untuck the toes, inhale, find your back bend. And as you exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, look at the front of you, slowly walk to the top of the mat, folding forwards. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forwards. Press down the feet, big inhale, lift you all the way, reach the arms up. And as you exhale, hands together, heart center. So now I'm going to introduce like a warm-up C. There's loads of different variations, but this is how I personally teach in my classes. And this is the one that I teach the most when I'm teaching a flexibility class. Okay, it opens up the front body more than the salutation A. Okay, and we'll start this at the top of the mat. Okay. So again, big toes together, little gap in the heels, or feet hip width distance apart, completely up to you. Scoop the belly in, stand nice and tall. Inhale, reach the arms up, and as you exhale, fold forwards. Hands on top of the shins or to the ground, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, lean towards your right foot, and then step your left foot behind you. Feet about hip width distance apart, and then lower the left knee to the mat. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Inhale, reach the arms up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, interlace your fingers behind the head. Send the chest forward. Take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, hands find the ground. Step your right knee behind you, modified plank pose. Begin to shift forward, squeeze the elbows in, and then lower your nipple line between the hands, followed by the chin. A nice opener into the upper back and the chin. Really pull the hands towards the feet. Keep a bit of activation here. Then begin to sweep forward, find your low back bend. And then as you exhale, again, push the seat to the heels, downward dog, or maybe just pop it up, downward dog. Inhale, look at the front of you, slowly walk to the top of the mat, folding forwards. Inhale, halfway lift. And as you exhale, fold forwards. Press down the feet, big inhale, lift you all the way up. And as you exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift. And as you exhale, lean left, step your right foot back behind you. Find hip width distance apart, and then soften the right knee to the mat. Inhale, sweep the arms up. And as you exhale, interlace your fingers behind the head, send the chest forward. Take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, hands find the ground, step it back. Shift forward, squeeze the elbows in, lower your chest and your chin. Inhale, find your back bend. And as you exhale, downward facing dog. So we're going to go through that again, and from this time we'll go from a downward dog. Okay. So inhale, float your right leg up, and as you exhale, step your right foot forward next to the right thumb. You can pull this right leg through if you need to. Just make sure it's between the hands. Okay. Soften the left knee to the mat. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, interlace your fingers behind the head, send the chest forward. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, hands find the ground. Step it back. Shift forward, squeeze the elbows in, lower your chest and your chin. Sweep forward, find your back bend. And then downward facing dog. Other side, inhale, float your left leg up. Feel free to lower the right knee if you need to step this left foot forward as well. Okay. Just checking this front knee stacks on top of the ankle and it's not rolling inwards, super important. Whenever you're ready, reach the arms up. And then as you exhale, interlace your fingers behind the head, send the chest forward. Take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, hands find the ground, step it back, and then shift forward to lower your chest and your chin. Untap the toes if they're not ready. Inhale, find your back bend. And as you exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, look at in front of you, slowly walk to the top of the mat, folding forwards. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forwards. Press down the feet big and I lift you all the way up. And as you exhale, hands together, heart center. One final sun salutation, B. I don't really teach this a lot, but I'll put it in there because it's quite a nice one too. Nicely used, okay. Big toes together, tiny gap in the heels. Okay, so bend your knees, find your chair pose. Okay, so in your chair pose, nice slope along the spine, neutrality in the pelvis. Squeeze your inner thighs together, and I'm putting the weight into the heels so that the toes are lifted nicely, okay, and they're super light. Arms nice and long. If you feel like again you're scrunching into the neck and the shoulders, just lower the arms down a little bit more, or maybe hands together, heart center. Nice scoop with the pinky fingers towards each other a little bit more. Take a big breath in, and as you exhale, fold forwards. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back, plank pose. Take your plank pose. Okay, wherever you are, begin to shift forward, squeeze the elbows in, lower yourself all the way to the ground or half press up. Untuck the toes, inhale, find your back bend, lower high. And as you exhale, use your core, downward facing dog. If you want to come by your child's pose, go for it. Inhale, step your right foot forwards. Again, pull it through if you need that to happen. Spin the back foot down, so feet about hip width distance apart, toes point roughly 45 degrees. Okay. Front knee stacks on top of the ankle, and I'm really pressing into that left heel and the left outer foot. I mean, don't go crazy, but you want to find engagement in this left leg. Squeeze in the thighs together whenever you're ready. Lift up, warrior one. Warrior one's quite a tricky one to teach, I feel, because everyone's really different. You'll feel this in the front of this left leg, and if this is too intense for you right now, you can just come into a high lunge by lifting your left heel up. Okay, keep grounding into that left heel, super engaged into this left quad, and then I'm pulling the 2 feet together to engage into this right hamstring. Arms reaches up, scoop the belly and the ribs in. Exhale, hands find the ground, step it back, plank pose. Shift forward, squeeze the elbows in, lower halfway down all the way to the ground. Untuck the toes. Inhale, find your back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. Nice soft breath. Slowly step your left foot forward. Again, pull it through if you need that to happen. Find the back hip width distance apart and then spin the back foot down. If you need to go wider, go wider. Once you find your foundation in the legs and the feet, rise up, warrior one, arms towards the ceiling. So the most common thing to happen as well, because when we're tight in this front, or the front legs, we tend to sort of create a back bend. So you can scoop the belly and the ribs in. So notice that I'm finding engagement. I'm charging up into this right quad, and then again, I'm bringing that right heel into the ground. Arms up towards the ceiling. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Warrior one. Take one more big inhale. And as you exhale, hands find the ground, step it back, plank pose, your plank pose. Shift forward, squeeze the elbows in, lower halfway down or all the way to the ground. Untuck the toes. Inhale, find your back bend. And as you exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, look at the front of you, slowly walk to the top of the mat. Big toes together, little gap in the heels, chair pose. Then press down the feet, inhale, lift all the way up. Exhale, hands together, heart center. And then just close down the eyes again. Feel the heart pumping for you. Feel this new breath. Well, shouldn't be new, but feel the heat, the eternal heat. You're more than welcome to come for meditation. You're more than welcome to add something on to this, maybe one of my other classes. Wherever you are, we'll take a big inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth, let it go. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.